Hello everybody, welcome back to another vlog. It's going to be a different one this week though because there's no action. I just thought I would give you all an update on how both boys are getting on. So I thought I'd start with Obi. So I'm just out hacking the Ginger Ninja at the minute, and if you watch my other vlog, so my vlog from last week where I took Franco cross country schooling, I gave a bit of an update on Obi, but I thought now I'm back riding him, I'd do an update on where we are, what the plans are, and hopefully what we can do for the rest of this year. So it basically started a couple of weeks ago. I took Obi into the arena and he was really lame behind. So I called out the vet. It was a vet that actually vetted my first pony when I was 13. So he's getting on a bit, I'm not going to lie. And yeah, he actually vetted Obi for me when I bought him, which was 12, 13 years ago. So yeah, really nice to see him. Anyway, waffling. So yeah, so Obi was lame, we got the vet out and he said, let's just do a bute trial for like a week and let's just see if there's something rumbling that will kind of fix itself or that we can just get down with painkillers. So I did that, and on the bute he was no better. So I took him into the vets, we trotted him up, we did flexion tests and everything. And we x-rayed, did we x-ray? I can't remember, both boys have been at the vets, so can't remember whether we x-rayed, but basically it came down to the fact that his suspensory ligaments are not as well structured as they should be. So you should have really nice sort of clear structures sort of going through, and with Obi that's not the case. The vet did say it's not the worst he's ever seen by no means, and that it does just happen to some horses as they get older. And he was confident that with shockwave therapy and medicating the hock, that would be enough to get him sound again. And he obviously is, because I'm out riding. So we did all that. He had 24 hours in at home to make sure that the hook joint didn't get infected, and then I've just been building him up. He did have a couple of days off because you'll see in my last vlog I fell off Franco, gave myself concussion, which I'm nearly there with. I wouldn't go jumping or anything right now, so I've still got a couple of days I think till I'm 100%. But Obi is just on hacking at the minute, so the vet did say just to hack him for the next couple of weeks, get him built up and strong again. He's had quite a bit of time off anyway, so with that bute trial and getting the vet out and stuff, it's been a couple of weeks, so I would have started him from scratch anyway. So it's going to be a couple of weeks of hacking, just walk and trot on a hard surface. And then we can go back in the school in sort of short bursts, and it will be, you know, starting working him sort of long and low, and then starting to pick him back up. So all looking pretty promising, and I'm going to be honest with you, I'm just happy to be back on, because when they said they were scanning his suspensories and they took quite a long time and he got a second opinion from another vet, I was thinking, oh my god, like I'm not ready to stop riding Obi. I still feel like we've got stuff to do. He's still really happy in his work, as you can see. He absolutely loves being out and about, and so yeah, I'm just absolutely chuffed. If all I can do is hack him from now on, if he doesn't kind of put up to the schooling and stuff, then I'll be happy. So the plan then with Obi is to get him back to full strength. He also needs to lose a little bit of weight. I don't know if you can see, but he's still a little bit rotund. So he's actually in quite a small bit of paddock at the minute, and I'm just really trying to get his weight down, because obviously if he's got an issue with his suspensories, I don't want him carrying any extra weight. But unfortunately both of my boys are extremely good doers. Sooty, being an old girl, needs to be on lots of grass, so it's a constant battle with the three of them throughout the summer, so that's fun. So the plan with Obi then will be to get him back fighting fit, get him a bit thinner, and then I've actually got a trip with Shelley from Everyday Eventers and Ali from Right Hoof Forward, and at the moment I'm not 100% sure which boy I'm going to take, so he may be going on a trip. And then I would really like to get him back out doing some British dressage competitions. I'd like to re-qualify for area festivals at novice level, and I'd also like to qualify at elementary level, but that might be a little bit ambitious. The vets did say if I have any big competitions and stuff coming up, to book in some shockwave therapy. He's got shockwave therapy next week actually, so I'll see how he gets on. That's kind of the ambitious plan. If I could get back out to a BD competition, I'd be more than happy, but I just feel like we've got a bit more to give, and he really enjoys the dressage, so if we can get there then we're going to do it. But yeah, that is a little Obi update, but I'm just absolutely chuffed to be back on and that he's feeling so happy and yeah, up for it in his work. So fingers crossed for Obi. Okay, so I've just changed sides because my arm was hurting from holding the phone, but I'm talking about Franco now, so it feels kind of fitting, like different angle, different horse. So, Franco. Where do I start with that horse? So, I took him cross-country schooling last week. He's been going great guns the past couple of months. But I just felt like the past month, so we had a stop at Elms Farm show jumping, which was my fault. That was 100% really bad riding on my part. There is a vlog of that, so do go check it out. But I did feel like the stop at Vale View and then a couple of runs out at the weekend, I just felt like this isn't really Franco. Like, he doesn't love taking a miss, but he doesn't normally do it in the way he was doing it. Like at Vale View, I felt like I got a good shot into fence number 2, and from that he would normally jump. It's only if I really mess it up that he'll say no, absolutely not. So anyway, so I got him back home last week after that. Flies. And I messaged my farrier and said, right, I think we need pads back on Franco's front feet. So a couple of years ago, Franco did a very similar thing and just started stopping when I was out, well, just when I was jumping, whenever. And we went and had foot x-rays and we changed the way that we were shoeing him, and the vet suggested as soon as the ground starts to get hard to put in pads and put in pads basically. So you have like a special cushion, I don't know the terminology guys, but you have like a special like cushioning material, and then you have your kind of plastic pad on the top. Very expensive, that's all I know. It's very, very expensive. Anyway, so we did that a couple of years ago, but for the winter we decided to take them off. So my farrier said, look, actually it's not that good for their feet not to be able to kind of breathe, and during the winter, you know, it's super wet in the UK, so we'll just take them off and see how he gets on. And he's been absolutely fine, but I just felt like, oh, okay, maybe the stopping is because I'm out hacking more. I do a lot of hacking along sort of here, which is quite hard, and the ground's getting a bit harder. So we popped some pads back on. However, I also felt like there was just something niggling him behind. His fetlocks kept kind of puffing up a little bit, and although the vet did say they thought that was just wind puff wingles, they said it's a bit strange that they're puffing up so much and going down, there could be something else rumbling on. So when I took him to the vet, I was half expecting him to say there's nothing wrong with this horse, like off you go. However, Franco came off the lorry and he was absolutely crippled in front. Now, he'd had the pads on the day before, and the vet looked at me like, I thought you said that your horse was just slightly lame. And I was like, oh, for goodness sake. So yeah, really crippled in front, and the vet just said, you know, take the pads off. If they're not working for him, then just take them off. So I messaged my farrier whilst I was there, and the farrier said, look, I can come today and take them off if you need me to. Me and my farrier had a conversation about how poor Franco's feet were looking, so at the moment we're just really struggling with them. So I've actually started feeding him a supplement recommended by my farrier called Farrier's Formula, and I've got a different, quite powerful sort of hoof oil to keep rubbing onto his hooves, and especially around the sort of coronet band. So we had already had that conversation anyway, but the vet was like, yeah, maybe take the pads off if they're not working. So that was step one. We then blocked his feet so that we could look at what was going on behind, and after flexion he was lame on the right hind, which I'm going to be honest, I was relieved about, because I thought my gut had been telling me at Vale View something kind of started, and I thought, I'm not 100% sure. But I trotted him up a couple of times and he was sound. My physio looked him over and she said he's sorer than normal. We couldn't trot him up for the physio though. That's what happened. We couldn't trot him up for the physio because he'd lost a shoe. Anyway, something was telling me that he wasn't quite right, and he wasn't. And we x-rayed his hocks. We weren't able to block the hock because he was a bit of a naughty Franco, and wouldn't let them block it. He tried to kick a couple of the people at the vets after behaving so well and being such a donkey, which is what his personality is like. I've never had a horse like Franco before, and I don't think I will ever have a horse like him again. Half the time he's a donkey, and half the time he's a fire-breathing dragon, and you don't know what you're going to get, and you don't know what sets him off. So they got fire-breathing dragons, so we didn't manage to block the hock. We went straight to x-raying the hock, scanning the suspensories, both of which structurally were fine. What good news is that? That is amazing news, isn't it? However, I had 2 vets at this point, and both of them said, looking at him, looking at how he was affected by the flexion test. Hang on, I'm going to have to change arms. Sorry, I had to change arms there. I'm going to have to go to the gym or something, because that's ridiculous. I needed to hold a phone for a couple of minutes. So how he presented after the flexion test, they thought the best thing to do would be to medicate the hock anyway, because they suspected that with his age, the fact he's an event horse, how he presented after his flexion, I think I already said that, that they thought that there was perhaps some inflammation rumbling on in there. So we medicated his hock. He then came home, had 24 hours in his stable, again, because we wanted to make sure that there was no chance that the hock was going to get infected. And then the next day, I went to trot him up. He had been on bute and he was sound in front, completely sound in front. And I thought, for goodness sakes, then I had to message my farrier and be like, okay, the panic's averted, he's now sound. And I put that on my Instagram and had a lot of people saying to me that their horses the next day after pads are footy. He'd had a 6-month break from them and he is hypersensitive. He's sort of been in his field on like the nice grass as well, so he'd had his pads in. He's then in a field with quite a bit of grass on, and then he was being asked to trot in a circle, and I think he just found it a bit sore. So I've re-trotted him up just now, so just before I came out on Obi. He's still sound. He's down to 1 bute a day, so all being well, I think I might take him for a bit of a poodle tomorrow. And then yeah, they said with him, because there's nothing kind of structurally wrong, to have a week of kind of more chilled work. So I'm just going to hack him for the next week, maybe take him out sort of 3 or 4 times, and then it will be building him back up. And they were like, you can just get going, all being well. Obviously, if anything else rumbles or if that hasn't worked, we'll then have to start looking at some of the other structures in the legs, such as the fetlock and stifle and things. So yeah, that's where we're at. I've also messaged my physio to say I'd like her to come back and have another look at him, because she said he was very sore. He normally goes every kind of 3 months, but if he'd been struggling behind with a bit of inflammation, obviously he's going to have been compensating, so I want her to come back. So I've got her booked in for like 2 weeks' time. So it's a very expensive time. Both horses are insured though, so the insurance is actually going to cover both. I was worried with Obi that they wouldn't cover the fact it was in the hock, but because its suspensory is not the hock joint, the vet said I'll just make it very clear what we were medicating and they should cover it. So those claims have gone in, so let's hope they can cover the majority of it. But the continual shockwave therapy, obviously the physio, the farrier, all of that, I have to pay for out of my part-time charity job wage. Luckily I'm a senior manager, so my wage isn't too poor, but yeah, it doesn't stretch that far. These neddies are expensive, but they've got to have the best care. If I want them to do anything for me, even just hacking, I want to make sure they're as comfortable as possible. So it's worth it. But yeah, I just wanted to give you all a bit of an update as to where we are. And with Franco, it's just going to be a case of building him back up, and the plan is still September, October time to aim for some novices. And I've been thinking, if he can jump as well as he did last weekend, I know he had that run out and gave me concussion, but if he was jumping that well with a bit of a niggle, then hopefully we're still on track to follow the dream. So yeah, horses, hey, horses. My parents aren't particularly horsey, and I think they think I'm totally bonkers for spending the amount of time, effort, money, emotion that I do, but I wouldn't be without them. And I'm really pleased that I followed my gut and I went to the vets, and you know, we found something for both boys. We've now got a treatment plan, and hopefully we can get them fighting fit again. So yes, that is where we're at. I hope you've enjoyed that vlog. Sorry, it's just me chatting to you. I'll finish it with the views, because the views are amazing. And I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.